And Lindsay Call is the city's Chief Resiliency Officer, so please welcome them to the front.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here. I greatly appreciate your service to our great city and you taking time out of your schedule to join us today. So what I will be talking about is our most likely scenario in Santa Monica for a major earthquake. We're looking at, our scenario is a 7.8 magnitude earthquake impacting 3 counties, Los Angeles, Riverside, and San Bernardino. The USGS took a look and did a very complicated study to see what kind of impacts that size of an earthquake would have on the region, the Southern California region, and specifically what kind of business and economic impact would that region suffer, would our region suffer, if that earthquake occurs, or not if, when. So we are looking at, in the Los Angeles region, we would have strong shaking for several minutes, partly due to the soil topography within the Los Angeles region. So that 10-second shaking that you thought was really bad during the 7.1 Ridgecrest earthquake, think about 2 minutes of intense shaking. The estimates are 1,800 deaths. That's about 400 patients, or I'm sorry, 1,800 deaths and 50,000 injuries from the earthquake. 50,000 injuries divided by all of the hospitals within that 3-county region is approximately 400 patients per hospital. And I know our local ERs have about 25 to 40 beds. So think about how that would impact the Santa Monica area. So what kind of other impacts would it have on business? We talked a lot about structural building damage, so I won't go through that. Again, retrofit is the most important mitigation measure that businesses can take in preventing damage and loss of life for their business. The total loss for a 7.8 earthquake is estimated at $33 billion just due to structural damage. Another secondary impact from the structural damage is fires. For the 7.8 earthquake scenario, there's an estimate of 1,600 fires breaking out across the region, 1,200 of those which cannot be controlled by one engine company. That would max out our fire department, and Chief Clemmo will tell us a little bit more about that. The 1995 Kobe earthquake, they had fires that broke out consuming 5,500 buildings. So it's not just the fear of a building collapsing or the building suffering damage, but it's also the fires that will happen after it. So what can you do? Knowing how to use a fire extinguisher to put out small fires is a really good first step. Knowing how to turn off the gas for your building, your business, or if you own an apartment building, teaching your residents how to turn off the natural gas is also critical. The third type of damage is non-structural and content damage. This is just securing the objects within the building itself. Picture is from the Ridgecrest, California earthquake. It looks like an unfortunate liquor store that didn't have measures in place to protect the bottles. Think about your space at your business and what high-level objects there are that may fall. Is your furniture secured? All of those types of things can prevent that damage and get you up and running more quickly after that earthquake. Damages to lifelines is also a huge impact. One of the biggest lifelines that we have is water. Anyone who's taken my CERT class or anything like that, you know I say water, 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 water. Make sure you have water. Make sure you have pipes that can withstand earthquakes so that you can make sure you have water. The loss of water is the biggest interruption to service for businesses. The cost to repair water and sewer lines is estimated at $1 billion. Cost to repair the roads, $5 billion. But the biggest thing is the impact to business because they have no water is $50 billion. How many of you are dependent upon water in one way, shape, or form for your business? Okay, so make sure that you have that in your plan and think about how you would cope with that loss. Another huge impact to buildings, or business rather, is damages to our trade system. The Port of Los Angeles, Port of Long Beach, would be closed for approximately 3 days. That doesn't seem like a lot, but that's a huge impact. They would be operating at 10% capacity for over 2 weeks. And the inability to get product from the ports across the nation due to damage to railways, roads, would divert 15% of our trade from the Southern California region to other ports. It would not be recovered. Have I scared you yet? Yeah? Good. That's my job. Welcome to emergency management. So just so you know, and this is all in the USGS report, they did a fantastic, remarkable job putting all of these numbers together. These are all of the costs related to that business interruption, a total of $96.2 billion in business damage across our Southern California region is expected, with a total cost, estimated cost of $21.3 billion. So how does that compare to other recent disasters? So we have Hurricane Katrina is our number one, what we call a $1 billion disaster at $167 billion. Next up, Hurricane Harvey, $130 billion. We think our California wildfires were horrific, and they were horrific in 2017 and 2018. They don't even make the top 10 list of our $1 billion disasters, and they're all grouped together. So the wildfires we suffered last year was $24.5 billion, and the ones in 2017 were $18.7 billion. So how does the city of Santa Monica prepare for these events and respond to these events? So we have a multi-hazard emergency plan that guides our response. We have a plan in place, and we're asking you to have a plan in place. We have an emergency operations center that is responsible for setting the priorities of the city's entire response, coordinating that response, and serving as the single point of communication for the public. Our Office of Emergency Management team, who's awesome and has a table in the back, they're all back there, great. We have the responsibility to make sure our Emergency Operations Center, our EOC, is ready 24/7, 365, ready to activate just in case anything bad happens, in case we have that big bad day. We conduct drills, trainings for our city personnel to ensure that they know their response role, they're ready to go, so that they can provide all of you services. Our key goals when we're doing disaster management, disaster response, is provide effective life safety measures. Saving people is always number one. Then comes reduced property loss. We will always save someone's life before we try to save someone's building. We want to disseminate accurate and timely information so that you all can spread our information and make sure it's getting to your staff, your clientele. We provide for the rapid resumption of community services. protect the built and natural environment, and document. That's another thing my EOC staff hear a lot, because we want to make sure we're reimbursed, that the city of Santa Monica doesn't fail on our documentation of what services we're providing to the community, because we want to make sure that FEMA or the state reimburse us for the work that we do. We don't have that as a financial loss. So I'll pass it off to Chief Clemo